Just a quick warning, this podcast series contains discussions about crime, trauma, sexual abuse, drug use and suicide. Listener discretion is advised. Liam Knight, welcome to The Stick Up.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
And I've been following your story and I know a bit about it. And you're a bloke that's, you never give up. You hit a few potholes and, mate, you just fucking swerved around and you just got it back together. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, mate. Where'd you grow up and how did this career start?
I'm a bit of a gypsy, I like to call myself. I was born in Alice Springs.
Yeah.
A bit unorthodox. And then I moved around a lot. I was in Alice briefly, then I moved to Sydney for a bit, then Darwin, then Adelaide, then back to Darwin, then Brisbane. Then the Central Coast. Yeah. I landed in the Northern Beaches about 16 when I signed my first junior contract for Manly. Yeah. And then it stemmed from there.
And I was in Alice Springs. I got pinched for robbing a bank up there. And Darwin. I got pinched for robbing a bank up in Darwin and Parat, the ANZ Bank in Parat.
What year was that?
1990.
Before me.
Way before you. Northern Beaches has got a very good junior rugby league development. Some really good players come out of it. Who did you go through the junior ranks with?
A couple of players. I played junior Manly with Tommy Trbojevic, Jakey Trbojevic. He was 1 year older. Yeah. I played with him in 20s. Turbo was a year younger, so I played a bit through there. I don't know if he was still playing. Like Jesse Ramian, I played with him, and then Manser Ball and 20s. A couple other players that came through that sort of had a couple of games here and there that didn't really kick on. Nico Hines, actually. I played Nico Hines. Nico. He's a legend, eh?
Really good guy, Nico Hines. I really love his story.
He's killing it, man.
Yeah, isn't he?
Yeah.
I love seeing him killing it because I know the backstory, and I love when people really do it through adversity. What was your home life like?
Pretty rough, man.
Yeah.
Pretty rough for me. I had a bit going on. When my mum passed when I was 5.
Yeah.
It went through a weird time. Like, immediately after, my dad didn't cope well. I don't know where he went. He was away for about 6 to 9 months. And then that time we lived with my mum's best friend and her kids, and that was great. I loved it. From there, pushed on like my aunties. It was a custody battle with my aunties and my dad, which was a bit of a shit fight. I was pretty young, didn't know what was going on. 2 years in the auntie, and then my dad. It was just it was chaotic till about 12. It wasn't a good time.
It's trauma though, mate, isn't it? It's trauma. When you can look back on that sort of stuff, when a kid's going through that sort of stuff, it's trauma.
Yeah, a lot of things that was like, looking back now were traumatising. At the time, you just don't know what, you just fight or flight a lot.
Tell us about football. Who did you grow up supporting? Who was your team? Was your aim as a young fella, you looked at NRL and go, I want to do that?
I think I played football first before knowing anything about it, and I was good at it and I had fun, and I just went, whoa, what is it? I loved it from the get-go. I was like, this is so mad. It was exactly. Then I sort of get a bit older, still think I was going pretty well at like 10, 11, 12, and I was like, and then you start watching it. You start watching these guys on TV, you're like, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to be that player. Yeah. From about 12, I was like, I want to be an NRL player. Yeah. Yeah.
Who was your idols back then?
I had different idols when I'm playing now. I was a Broncos fan off the bat, and I liked Darren Lockyer. Yeah. And then I just changed over the years. I just like Jared Hayne when I was a bit younger. Yeah. And then it was Sammy Burgess was my favourite player from about 15.
Yeah, and and Sam went on to have a bit of an influence on your career, didn't he?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I told him when we first started, like when I first went to South, we were getting close as mates, and I was like, mate, like, I think we were on the piss one time, and I was like, just tell me, you're my idol from when I was growing up. It's that weird, like, I'm calling you up to go get a coffee. It's like sometimes I still look at the phone, I'm going, Sammy Burgess is calling me. What's going on? This is crazy. Yeah, it was mental. Good. It was mental.
How good. And you started showing a bit of promise as a kid. What it's like to know there's eyes on you that can take you places?
That was a weird feeling for me because up until South, I showed a lot of promise in the 20s and I was probably touted to be a lot better than what I was, and then had some off-field stuff that always probably plagued me. Yeah. Up until that point, I had no one that was really talking about me. And I had that one breakout year in 2019, and I remember getting caught up for media and people talking about me, and it was a really weird feeling because I was obviously loving it. I was enjoying my football, and but then I sort of didn't really know how to handle all of it.
Yeah, would it be fair to say it was overwhelming for you?
It was, yeah. I was 23, maybe 24, and it was overwhelming for sure. It was pretty cool. It was a cool feeling. Like people saying nice things. I was like, and then asking you questions. I was a bit young and naive. I was just like a little kid, happy as.
I'd like to touch on the off-field stuff that was going on in your life. What was going on in your life?
Mate, I think I've always struggled mentally here and there.
Yeah.
Like I left Manly at the time. Before I ended up in South, I had these couple weird years where I'd left Manly, and Manly was like a base, it was like a family base, which I've always struggled to have that family base since like when I was a child.
It's your tribe, yeah? It'd be fair to say?
Yeah, it felt like it was my tribe. I had all these unrest feelings when I left. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't really want to address it. When you're younger, you don't really talk about stuff. You just cop it, and you don't want to speak up. And then so off-field.
It was hard for you, but because as a kid, your male role model in your life was absent.
Yeah, he came back on the scene, but it was anything but a role model.
Yeah.
When he was back, when he was gone, and then he came back, and when he was back, it was almost worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a good role model.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I never had anyone.
Would you think he was struggling with the death of your mother?
100%, but he was struggling before that too.
Yeah.
Like, he struggled with mental health issues and probably undiagnosed back then.
Yeah.
No one even knew about, like 20.
But that generation of where men don't talk about stuff.
Exactly right. He had his own issues, and then his wife passed away. He's got 2 young kids, and he wasn't equipped. He was probably barely equipped with a partner.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Yeah.
So he really struggled when he was just by himself when he won the court case.
So do you think he passed on that dysfunction? Look, there's a thing called intergenerational transference.
Yeah.
Do you think that got passed on to you to an extent?
Yeah. I took a lot of that on, and it wasn't until I got a bit older.
Yeah.
When I probably started, I remember I was a really angry, violent. When I got drunk, I'd be a violent drunk.
Yeah.
And that was probably passed on from. He was violent towards us as kids.
Yeah.
And it took me probably to have a few drinks, and then I feel like I got to get. I don't remember what I was going through at the time, but I just looked back. I was acting out. I was putting the hurt that I received onto someone else.
Yeah.
But only when I was drunk.
Projection, yeah.
100%. When I get drunk, I'm like, I'm going to try and start a fight, and I was just thinking I was that guy. And then I had a little phase there.
Yeah. And when you're in the public eye like you would have been, it's hard to get away with that.
Yeah, it was before that.
Yeah.
I was probably 17, 18 when I was going, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And lucky I got over that. I just thought, look, what am I doing? Who do I want to be? I'm doing exactly what was done to me. And I realised what I was doing.
You become the man your father.
I've become exactly right. I'm
the
like,
person
I'm so wrong. And I knew it. But I was just, you get drunk and you do it. It's like, and you just...
And being a big lump of a kid, like you would have been, were you playing second row?
Yeah, I was a bigger kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be quite intimidating for people.
Row. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I'd hate to have you coming at me, mate. Even as a 17-year-old kid, second row, I'd like, they're big these days. You're playing against the Polynesian kids, so you got to aim up.
Yeah,
you know?
They're a bit bigger. Yeah.
And tell us, what happened? What happened? You said you went distant from Manly. Did you step away from the football?
No, I signed with the Roosters, and I just like good contract, good coin. I was like keen as a young kid.
Suburbs, good-looking women over there.
Yeah, exactly. It was just the next step, and when I left, it was when I started feeling a bit different. I was like, it shouldn't be like, and the attitude changed, and it all flipped.
Yeah.
And I also thought I was mad. I thought I was 20. I was 22, signed a good deal. I was like, I want to rock up to training. I want to play first grade. It's who I am now. I was a Derek. I lost.
What'd you say? I was a
Derek.
Yeah.
I got way too far ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Didn't train. What got me there was hard work and discipline. Fell off the window because I thought I'd made it. And then my attitude shifted. And I rocked up to training after big weekends, making the wrong decisions and bad diet and all that kind of stuff that I built myself on.
Because extreme professional athletes, to make that grade, people don't realise the effort that goes in it, like the training, the diet. You're working with dietitians, you're working with strength and conditioners, sprint coaches. There's a big effort. Just give us a day in the life of a first grade footballer.
It's a big effort. A normal day, pre-season. Pre-season's different to in-season. Pre-season's probably the hardest thing about football.
Yeah.
It's day in, day out. A few months before you're playing.
Yeah.
You get there at 7:30. You got physio, extra prep, stretching. You got video, and then the field session's about 1.5 to 2.5 hours. It's pretty solid. It gets worse. Obviously, day one they're not going to flog you, but contact, conditioning, all that kind of stuff.
Weights.
Then you got a break, and you got weights. So some days you got wrestle on top of all that.
Yeah.
They're the worst days of the week, obviously. Wrestle's never fun.
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky. I haven't done too much wrestle.
Yeah. When you were Melbourne Storm, that's big down there, isn't it?
No, Roosters, and I was at Canberra. We did a lot of wrestle. But I had my years at South, so we never did too much wrestle. Wayne didn't like it.
Yeah.
Wayne was against it.
Did you get coached under Wayne Bennett?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that would be an experience.
Mate, that was another one of those moments.
Yeah.
I remember I told Wayne the story I was in when I was in year 8, I think, in Brizzy. I was in so much trouble at school. I was just constantly at the deputy principal's desk, and on that desk was Wayne's book. one of his
Great
books.
read.
And I was there so often, I read his whole book. And I told him about it. I was like, I was in so much trouble, I read your whole book. And I was always idolising him as a coach.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting coached by Wayne Bennett. And
Did he recruit you to South?
He called me up, yeah.
Yeah, wow, mate, that's a big call.
I thought it was a prank call.
Yeah.
I was coming back from Canberra, and I wanted to leave Canberra. I just wanted to go back to Sydney. And he goes, I got a random call. I was driving, and I was, hey, mate, it's Wayne. I was like,
There's heaps of G-ups.
Wayne Bennett. I was like, yeah, I think I hung up on him. And he called me back. He goes, mate, it's actually Wayne Bennett. Hey, mate, how you going? Like, chatting myself. And then he starts talking about what he wants and that kind of stuff. And then, I just signed on the dotted line straight away.
You would, wouldn't you?
100%.
But that must be good for a good feeling when someone he's the top of the game coach, identifies your talent.
He was. There was massive confidence. Because like I said, before that, I was huddling along. And like the previous 2 or 3 years just didn't pan out like I thought it would. I had injuries and I had other stuff, but I just also wasn't applying myself. I was just doing weird stuff off the field. And
when you say weird stuff, let's talk about that. This is the stuff what makes your story amazing.
Yeah. I just feel like I was in a real bad headspace for a couple of years. After this, everything didn't go to my plan.
Yeah.
A couple of injuries and nothing. And I was like, after the Roosters, I got punted from the Roosters about 6 months into a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that would have been a pretty good deal to you.
Yeah, it was a good call. And Trent Robinson said, I went into his office and he said, a couple of things here and there. And then he goes, I don't trust you and there's no future for this club. And I was just like, and at the time, I probably wasn't accountable to like the way I was treating people or like the bad attitude I had at training and all that kind of stuff. And it's a professional environment. It demands a lot of you. And I wasn't up to it.
Did you get any resentments out of that?
Yeah, at first I was just shocked through at first. And then I went a bit upset. I wasn't depressed. I was sad. I was like, mate. And I went to Canberra, new environment. I wasn't in a good headspace. And I was back and forth to Sydney all the time. I didn't give it a chance to really invest myself in the club. And I was just dealing with that. And I fell out of love with footy. I thought, this isn't what I was supposed to be for me. Like, I was supposed to be this star. You tell yourself all these things. And I was going to be this player and X and X dollars and all the other stuff that comes with it. I just wasn't happening for me.
Yeah.
So a couple of years in, I was like, do I want to do this? Training's hard. Like, training's really hard. Like, do I want to live this life? This is pretty hard. It's not where I want to be. But then, when Wayne called me.
And where were you at? Were you at Canberra?
I was at Canberra, yeah. I said, I can't be. Canberra wasn't a place for me. I wasn't happy in
Unless
Canberra.
you're a public servant.
Yeah, I wasn't happy there. Like, the boys are mad, the good club.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. I missed the beach, missed Sydney, missed my mates. And Wayne just said, mate, I had a couple of things going on. Like, I had a drink driving charge, and I had a tag for blue sky or whatever it is, whatever they call you in footy, and I probably deserved it. And he said, I don't care what you've done. I don't care what's happened in your life, like negatively in football. I just care what you do next and how you apply yourself to this team. You work hard, you apply yourself, and there's a future for you. Otherwise, I'll get rid of you, but I want you here, and I don't care what's already happened.
How good.
And I just felt, it was like a weight off my back. I was like, I've got a fresh start. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I believed him. Like, you believe him when he speaks.
Tell me this, what makes Wayne Bennett so special as a coach and a human being? What does he do that he has this ability to lift people, like Johnny Lewis does with boxing?
It's probably a few things. One, like, he's Wayne Bennett. Like, he gets respect. He's like an aura about him. He walks into a room and he just has that respect. He's obviously earned that, but I don't know how he was at the start, but now he's probably earned that, and you understand. And then the way he speaks from a deep place, and he just gets everyone together, and he'll deal with everyone individually. He's the ultimate people manager, and he just hits the mark. Sometimes it's hard to explain. You go into training.
Do you think he's timing? You reckon it's...
I mean, yeah, but he's a smart guy, and he just gets it. Like, he just gets people. Like, sometimes you go to training, it's probably 6 weeks in the pre-season, and you're busted. Like, everyone's
he gets some trains with you too, didn't he?
Sometimes you're not in the field, but in the gym he gets in there, and he just he puts things into perspective really well. He picks you up when you're down, and he says certain things. He just gets you pumped up.
You're like a psychologist.
And if you get too far ahead of yourself, he can feel it, and he brings you back down in a way. He's not abusing you. He's not overstepping the mark, but he'll bring you back down to where you should be. And if you're not there, he picks you up. He just gets it. He feels it. He just has that feel. You can't buy that experience.
Yeah, I always like, because I had Johnny Lewis and Jeff Fennick here last week, and Jeff he said exactly what you just said. Yeah. He just knows what to say at the right time. I actually I'm mates with Ben Eichen, and I went to their wedding, and I went to Wayne's house, and one night I was
Which one?
The one at Mount Omni.
The guy that would probably own half of
he'd own half of
Australia.
fucking Brisbane.
He got more money than the bank, so Ben told us.
Yeah. So I went to his... but anyway, I was at the Bucks night, and I was telling some radio bloke sucking up to him, going, hey, Mr. Bennett, my name's I said, hey, Wayne, my name's Russell Manser, retired bank robber. He goes, come here, he was just, and you're right, he was so cool. I really like Wayne. He was just, he don't give a fuck about your background.
Nah.
And he loves a knockabout too, you know.
Yeah, he does. And you could tell in like, looking at his career, like he did like the knockabouts, like he loves Jimmy Roberts.
Johnny Elias, he had Johnny Elias. He brought out he took him up there when no one else wanted him up to Brisbane.
I think he loves a project. There might have been a little bit of a project for Wayne.
One of the many. Hey, and tell me, so the career kicks off at Souths. Tell me what happened there, mate. How'd you go? Like, how was you going along?
Mate, that first year at South was wild.
Yeah.
Like I said, had Wayne and Sam and all the team that we had, like Adam Reynolds, John Sutton, George Tom Burgess when they were still firing. Oh, Tommy obviously was still going pretty well. I mean, like the team was mad. Cody Walker.
Yeah.
It was like a dream. It was finally where I wanted to be. I finally ended up in an environment where I thought I was meant to be in. Yeah. But I just wasn't, obviously didn't know that. But I was finally there. I was playing footy. I was playing first grade every week. I was improving. I ended up starting. I was like, I'm an NRL starter. That's where I was at. And it was like, it was a dream come true. It was like, this is where I wanted to be all along, and I'm finally here. It was the best ever. Yeah. With that I was pretty loose off the field still until Sammy pulled me into line. Yeah. That was the first year I started understanding the requirements of a rugby league player on and off the field. Like the
big
like
expectation
the
off,
expectation, especially at South. Big club. There's cameras that train all the time, and I was like, what are these doing? I'd never seen that before.
Because they're a picked on side. The media like to pick up on the South play.
They really do, yeah. And the fans are mad. I hadn't seen much of that. They're always there, numbers, and it was just a wild year. And then we were going pretty well too. We ended up finishing top 4, played finals. That was just crazy experience. Big crowds, and we ended up losing the prelim that year. Finished the year, best year to date by far. I just finished that year. I was like, mate, this is the best thing ever. Yeah, it's only up from here.
Well, you think how does validation play a part in your life? Did you feel validated in that song?
Yeah, I think it was a big part for me. I think I needed to be validated.
Were you looking for
I
that
needed
place?
To be validated, yeah. And I think because I wasn't validated in the ways I wanted, I needed. Yeah. That's probably why I struggled mentally. And I didn't know. I just like...
But that's that intergenerational stuff too.
Yeah, the stuff that I didn't know I was dealing with, all the trauma that was playing a part in my life. I needed that validation. I wasn't getting it because I wasn't performing. Yeah. So the happiest I was for a long time was when I was going well on footy. Yeah.
Because people would get praising you, yeah?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm playing, I must be going well. Everyone's saying I'm going well. And I loved it. Like, I needed that as a kid. I was very, very insecure. Yeah. Very insecure, and I lacked a lot of self-worth. I had a lot of self-confidence. Yeah. But when I look back at it, like a lot of self-worth.
And it's self-love and self-confidence, self-belief are the antidote for trauma. Yeah. For me, I work in the field of trauma with the abuse stuff that I work with, and there's a key indicator when people even talk like that, so I don't have much self-worth and that sort of stuff. So you're playing along, so tell me, where'd we go from here? Did you?
I finished the season. I wasn't on the biggest deal that year, but I had a very successful year. And I went to the table and manager started talking, and we started talking upgrades and extensions. Some pretty big figures getting tossed around for me. Like I'd never seen that kind of money in my life.
Were other clubs starting to chase you?
There was a couple, but there was one club. The Titans were chasing pretty heavily, and I agreed to terms. The contract was too big. I couldn't say no to it. It was 24. Like I got no one back on me. I needed money. I'm the only one provided for me. I got no fallback.
No trade.
I was like, nothing. No family support. Yeah. In that kind of sense. And I was like, whatever. I need money. Bang. I agreed to terms on the phone. Bang. And then Wayne. They came back with more, and I shook Wayne's hand and go sweet. And then Titans came back with more, and I'm like, Wayne, I can't sign the deal. I told you I've just come back with this big upgrade. It was just a wild time, and I'd never been through that. And I was like, I don't want to be disloyal to South. I want to stay at South, but it's too much. And then it figured itself out. I took a bit of a hit, but I didn't want to leave South. I was so grateful. I had the chance to help my mates there.
You put worth. By taking less money, you put worth on the place where you belonged.
Yeah, and I'd hopped around in a bit, like mainly then Roosters and Canberra, and I was like 1 year at South. I just made all these relationships. I didn't want to just keep hopping. I didn't want to be the guy that hopped around. And plus, like for me. Moving around's always been normal. And it was always unstable mentally for me. So I was like, I'm happy here. I don't care about what's elsewhere. I just need stability for a little bit. And I'm happy. All my mates are here. And Sammy was a massive role model for me. And I was like, Sammy's here, I'm happy. I don't care.
He cops a bad rap, Sammy, but he's I've heard nothing but good. I met him up at Angelo Hyder's boxing gym. Yeah. He's a good bloke. He has a positive role model on a lot of younger people.
If anyone knows Sammy, they couldn't say a bad word about him. Yeah. Like he went through his troubles. Yeah. You know, people go through shit. He was going through a fair bit more than people would probably ever go through in a really short period of time after he lost his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's back and he's got himself sorted, and now he's just the same old Sammy.
Yeah,
Not like more understanding and relatable because he's.
I was watching this thing about him. I was watching, who's that? Shane Richardson, used to be at South, the recruiter, and he was talking about when he first saw Sammy play, and he said he was 19 years old, tearing him apart in the English Super League. A legend. Did you style your game off a little bit off how he played?
I think I might have tried to. You see him do stuff, and you see the way he's playing. 'Cause obviously, I would have wanted to play like that. So he was a massive influence, and he'd take me away, we'd do extras, and he just added like that level of professionalism that I never had, and he was just on a different level, like leadership wise, professionalism, how hard he trained. Like I never was really a hard trainer. He was just on a different level, and he elevated me. Like I lifted a lot.
Yeah.
By just being around him, and that was my plan. I went to South, and I went. You get a bit of shit. The boys are like, "Oh, you sucking him off," or whatever. And I was like, and I copped it. Like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You can call me whatever you want. Whatever I can gain from a guy like that, I'm gonna go. Sure. And also, he's a legend of a bloke. I was just like, mate, I don't care what people think, really.
Yeah, for sure.
It's helping me, and I like hanging out with him.
I get that.
I'm lucky enough to be like hanging out with him.
Mate, you're blessed.
Yeah.
Other players, like so many other people, would be it'd be a lifelong dream for a lot of junior footballers to have that influence and that person to have that.
Yeah, exactly right. I was like,
and the big brother figure.
Exactly, and that's what it was for me. It ended up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I re-signed.
Yeah.
And then had a bit of surgery, had a little bone cut out of my toe, and I think that was about around the time that off season was the worst thing for me.
Yeah.
Because my whole identity was football.
Yeah.
When I didn't have football, I just felt lost.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Off season was the worst. Like it was supposed to be the best because you get the party and you get to do whatever. That was the mindset. You go party and you do whatever you want, which is mad. But I didn't like it. I needed the structure. I needed football. Football was my identity.
I get that. Last year I fell off the wagon a little bit over Christmas. I was bored. Work's mine.
Yeah.
I've got to be. My head has got to be locked into something.
I'm doing something.
What's that? Yeah. And tell us what happened, man. You had a bit of an incident there.
No, I didn't get in trouble. I just partied a fair bit.
I
think I kick-started my little addiction.
Yeah.
Not little, like that was my off-season was the worst. Yeah. That was like, and then it got worse and worse for me. Like for the years went on, like I feel like, oh shit. Thank God I got pre-season starting soon. I can stop doing this. Like, but it was almost like as soon as the season finished, it was like a.
Was it drugs or
switch.
Alcohol? Tell me.
Yeah, it was all of it. It was all
right.
Yeah, so. And I love gambling and all of it. Like it just all went
that's
ahead.
Addictive personality.
Yeah.
That's
I got crazy addictive personality. Good or bad. Like it would be good.
Yeah.
I can put it to good, or like it was like, I just start partying and then.
The addictive personality, I like, because I used to be a very serious drug addict, and that addictive personality, when you apply that to business, you can't lose because it's that obsessive trait. You just bang, lock it in. You can't fail, and that's that turnaround. And like you play that obsessive personality trait to footballer.
And it was training. It was like, can't do anything. I got to train tomorrow. I'm not coming to party. So obviously, like I still played when I was younger. I was like, I got to train tomorrow. I got to pull it in.
Do you reckon Sammy played a part in that sort of that training ethic? He passed that on to you.
Yeah, for sure. Like I played as hard as I could, but like he just taught me. Like your standards on the field will drop to your training standards. And I was like, I think I wanted to cruise. Like running wise, like fitness, I was always trying to push. I was always like going hard, but like the contact at training, I was like, oh, what are we doing? Boys, just calm down. For me, I hated it. But he was one that instilled in me like, mate, you train as hard as you play. Well, not full on, but that's where your standards in the game will come back to your training standards. So when watching him train, he built me up. He picked me up to that standard.
And there's a culture. Souths, I spoke to Tugger Collin the other day. Souths have always had a culture of toughness, extreme tough. Like Sammy played a grand final with a broken cheekbone.
Yeah.
Johnny Sadler played with a broken jaw. There's that. And it's that expectation. The Souths fans won't take, old mate fucking walking off with a bruised ego.
Nah. And I remember it was 2020. I was playing with needles and I was like, this is what it's about. 2 needles a week to play footy for the last 8 or 9 weeks.
We're talking painkiller needles, yeah.
Talking like anaesthetic, general anaesthetic, not general, local anaesthetic to numb the area so you can play. And I was like, when I was 24 or 5, I was like, this is mad.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it takes.
Yeah.
I'm a footballer. Like, this is hectic. That's why I was like, it was mad. And that's that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and I heard like back in the day, like Sammy they've changed the rules. If you need a certain amount of anaesthetics to play, you're not allowed to play.
Yeah.
So Sammy was having 4 needles to play footy at some stage. And I heard that. I was like, mate, he was an elbow jab, knee jab, ankle jab, shoulder jab to get on the field. The guy was just a nutcase, man.
Yeah.
Talk to the physios about him sometimes. He's just saying, no. We told him not to play sometimes. And he wasn't going to play, and all of a sudden he just gets paid needles, jumps on the field and kills it.
Talk about off field, like how were you with relationships with women, and how was that for you?
Football helped.
Yeah.
Because you're out and about, you're with the boys, and there's a lot of girls that like footy players and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had girlfriends as well, but yeah, I was always in that scene.
Dustin Martin, I spoke to Dustin Martin, Richmond great, at Christmas time, and he seemed like the loneliest man on earth.
Really?
Yeah, he really did. I met him at the boxing gym up at Tweed, and he just said he doesn't. He goes, you don't know with women. He goes, what they want. He goes, I'm always suspicious of them. And he goes, and what happens, these social media women and everything like that, he said, they throw themselves at me. He said, but I don't know what their motives are. And he said, I hold back. He said, I have serious trust issues with women.
See, that'd be hard. That'd be hard, especially someone like him.
He's a superstar.
And the top dogs, yeah, like the big dogs, you know, you just can't trust anyone, really. Yeah. If they know football, what's their motives?
It was funny to see him up in Tweed when he was up there, because he was at ease. He wasn't recognised. He wasn't that well known up there.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that he could walk down the street, he just can't walk the streets in Melbourne and that.
Even Sydney, they'd be getting swelled, but Melbourne in particular, Victoria's crazy.
For the sporting
they're just
fans.
Absolute gods there. Eh?
And how's it you? So just what went ourselves? You so recently Gus recruited you to the Bulldogs. Here's another one. Wayne, I wouldn't say.
He reminds me a bit of Wayne, like in that aura. He's got that aura.
Yeah. And he's recruited you to the Bulldogs. So these fucking Brains Trust, the rugby league, are all identifying your talent.
Yeah, mate, it's amazing. Honestly, like I remember talking to Gus and we thought we were getting it all sorted. I was so like, it's one of those moments again. I was like, had a pretty rough couple of years injury wise, and then this year didn't go to plan, and then. It's a confidence boost. Someone like Gus builds it to the club, yeah, for sure.
You're talking icons of the game. People are like, Penrith are going so well today for the legacy, Gus's legacy, what he done with the junior development net out there. Let's say he has an eye for talent, and he comes along and says, here's a guy, I'm rebuilding a club, here's a guy who I want to help rebuild my club because I believe in his talent. What do you, like, how do you repay that?
I guess I don't know, to be honest. Something like that. I don't put too much pressure on myself. I got to do the best I can for the club, show that I'm worth it, prove him right, prove the club right, and put my best foot forward every day. That's what I try to do every day when I first got there. Yeah. I just want to prove him right, you know. Myself, prove that I can do it still, prove I'm still in there. Yeah. And just prove the club and Gus right, and the coach, that I'm worth it, and I can still do it. Yeah, nice. And be my best every day.
And how old are you now?
28.
28. So you've got another 4 years.
4 or 5 years, yeah. Plan, yeah.
And what's the plan, mate? What do you want to do? And have you thought about career? Because this is where a lot of players go wrong after football. Have you starting to put something in plan for?
Yeah, I'm planning. I didn't for a long time. It was only football, and I had that died by design. I didn't want anything else. It just felt like I was cheating on my own dream. Like, it was a weird place to be in, because before last year, I had no trade, I had no education. It was football. I got invested all right. I didn't weigh by any money, so I was all right. Yeah. But I was like, I just got nothing else besides football. And it was a bit of anxiety sort of filled thoughts, because without football, I don't know, I can get a normal job. I'm not like, when I stop playing football, there's nothing else until I figure it out. But I don't want to be doing something I don't like. Yeah. So I'm putting a lot in place in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I think you'd be a great mentor for young people.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, I think you'd be great. Yeah. I'd love to do something with you down the track there, because kids are going to listen to people like yourself. Mate, you haven't had it easy. Your upbringing wasn't easy. Right. And kids, I go to the boys' homes and that sort of stuff, and them kids realise they can pick a fraud. They'll go, oh, this bloke's silver tongue. Yeah, he's had a silver spoon in his mouth. He fucking never kicked his toe. I never felt pain in their life. You know what I mean? And kids are really good at picking that. I think, man, you'd have a future in that sort of kid mentoring, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So about 12 months ago, I wanted to start doing stuff in that space, but I hadn't dealt with my own stuff, and it was massive conflict, and I just felt all this trauma come to the surface, and then when I did my knee, that was game over for about 4 months.
It's hard though. There's a classic example. You're trapped with your thoughts.
Yeah,
you got to sit up for it or whatever, how long it takes.
Mate, it was bad. It was a dark place. Especially, like I said, my whole identity was at the time football. Yeah, I'm a football player. That's me. That's my identity. And I don't have that anymore. What am I? Who am I? It just felt like I just was gone, lost. And I was like, in reality, it was not true, but that was my thoughts. I was like, I just felt like everything that was stable wasn't there anymore, because my football, my training was like, it's who I am, it's what I do, and it wasn't there. I was like, I just had all these things come up, all these thoughts that come up that weren't there before, with all that, without the stability and the identity I had. Maybe
it's the subconscious stuff that comes to the surface of your upbringing, the trauma of your upbringing.
Right.
not being validated. That's what I found. I remember I was in a jail cell in Darwin, and I was put in this fucking black hole for 9 months straight. And I fucking had some dig. Man, I had to pull out the pick and shovel and do some digging because I couldn't escape it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I think, and I guess that period when you broke your knee was your own.
Yeah, and it wasn't straight away. I just escaped it.
Yeah.
I was partying. I was just escaping any way I could for a 4-month period.
Yeah.
And then that's when I ended up in rehab.
Yeah.
And that's when I started digging into a lot of shit. I was
Really?
there for a month, I got off it, got clean.
Yeah.
And then I got out was when I really ramped up, going through therapy, doing trauma therapy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What have you learnt from trauma therapy? Tell me.
I learnt the stories that I was told at certain ages to for my mindset to be in a certain way. And the reason I was like self-sabotaging and all these patterns and habits that I had were based on this version of me, like this little kid version of me that was hurt, all that kind of stuff that went on back then, and it just lasts for so long, and it's like a protection.
Yeah.
It's like a mask I wear, push people away. Or,
defense mechanisms.
Yeah, defense mechanisms. You wear these masks, and instead of actually acknowledging that you went through a bit.
Yeah.
Which I know I did, but I just never wanted to deal with it. I never wanted to be sad.
Yeah.
Anger and everything else was just like
Anger's a reactive behaviour to sadness.
Yeah,
isn't
like
it?
a secondary emotion behind sadness and hurt.
It'd be fair to say, I can look back on your scenario and I think this kid would have had some serious rejection issues if he'd had taken off.
Yeah.
That shit hurts, man. That's
100%, yeah, and it stuck around. I didn't know how it affected me. I just was like, shit. I felt different all the time. And I'd get in bad headspaces and beat myself up or whatever it was. Like, and I think deep down, like the things that I actually took on as a kid, rejection and abandonment, because my mum passed and I thought she left. Like, why would she leave me? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
So I guess football was the perfect thing for that because I could constantly validate myself every week.
Yeah.
I could constantly prove that I was worth it. That was the constantly prove that I was worth it. It was like a saving thing for me.
So you trained harder, you played harder.
Yeah, because I needed to prove to me and everyone that I'm worth it. I'm good at something. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that I found footy.
Yeah.
Because I think it's common for people to find other ways.
I reckon you're lucky you found rehab.
100%. 100%. The way I was going.
Yeah, that's that. Same with me. I had it all. The imposter syndrome. I have it. I was sitting in these fucking...
Imposter syndrome. That killed me, man. That was year 2.
Yeah.
After 2019. So nothing had changed. I was still the same guy. I was going into my second year after Ed's house. It's not a good deal. I was like on X money and I don't know if I deserve this money. You know, I'm like, I was telling it was weird. I never dealt with that. I never had enough to worry about. Like the imposter syndrome, it killed me a bit.
Yeah, same. Today I live a pretty good life. I work with lawyers and that. Sometimes I sit in these big oak boardrooms and I think, fuck, what the fuck am I doing here? I went to this billionaire's house the other week.
They're going to figure me out.
They're going to figure me out. They're going to fucking realise I'm not real. And that thought, that fear and that anxiety
crazy.
that you're playing, that rugby league, I don't give a fuck, gridiron. Gridiron's got head... all that fucking padding and there's nowhere tough as rugby league. My American mates watch rugby league and they go, fucking that game is dangerous.
I watch it sometimes, right? And like from the outside looking, I go, fuck, this game's not really.
Yeah.
Someone could look at this game and go, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, they're trying to kill each other.
Then you play it, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's that feeling like? Like when you just pull off that fucking bell ringer tackle.
That's a high, man. That's euphoria.
Yeah.
And like a really hard game and you win. Like that's the things you chase. That's like the new. It's like you become addicted to it. Like those big moments, those big wins, those tough games, even training sessions. You get off the field sometimes and you get through it and you look at your mates and you're like, you just feel mad. Like you get through these things and you pass these accomplishments and it's just euphoria. Like you can't explain it.
And no disrespect to the diggers or anything like that, but you form bonds like people who go to war. What's the bond, the mateship? Like obviously you play with blokes like Sam, you're going to have a lifelong friend in him.
Yeah.
What's that mean to you to have that lifelong friendships, that friendships of depth that you can talk to anyone about and not stand in judgment?
It's pretty comforting. It's it's definitely it's a special feeling. I don't know how to explain it really. It's like you got lifelong friends from like a year or two of your life that you'll never know, like you'll never be able to touch with.
Yeah.
And that's special. Like, that's what this game gives. You never take that away.
I had a law firm approach me about concussion in rugby league and I spoke to Tugger about it. I spoke to Tugger Tolman and he just said to me, I couldn't do that. The game's given me so much.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, yeah. It's going to be a class action, I think.
That's happening. I've got law firms, because that's my field. dealing trauma. I deal with trauma, and that's my field. And I've got heaps of law firms saying round it up, because they believe I'm the guy that can make it happen. And I'm vexed on that one too, because I grew up in Penrith and I see what the game's done for a lot of, I don't know, disenfranchised youth. It's given them a purpose. I'd hate to be a part in taking that away from anyone.
It's going to be a dicey one.
It's going to be, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, yeah. And the thing with that one is, I think, there are guys that are really battling away in life right now. And they need some support. Yeah, they need support. Whatever that is, like the NRL should probably front that. They should front that. But there are other guys, like in the 80s and stuff, and no one knew what was going on. And no one's, who's to blame? You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But there's two edges.
I can have a talk. I'm good friends with David Lydia at Parramatta Storwood, and you have a talk with him for about 2 hours, and he'll go, "What were we just talking about?"
Really?
And he'll just go, "What?" And he's pretty much he's a pretty successful business in that, Lids. But it's sad to see people like that. But once again, my partner's a barrister, and her uncle was the doctor at the Bulldogs for many years. Hugh Hazard, and he was the one who introduced the concussion rules into the game.
Really?
Yeah, he was the one he was the Australian doctor, and that sort of stuff. Do you feel like the game protects you? Like, they're getting better, aren't they?
Heaps better. And I think it's probably only been a real thing, talking point for 10 years or something, or maybe less. And then it's more and more every time. Like I said, they don't know what they didn't know back then.
Yeah. Science is catching up.
Yeah, massively. And now they did the best thing. They took it out of the players' hands.
Yeah.
You get a concussion, it's 11 days. Doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
Even in, like, when I was 90, I got knocked out cold.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, "How do you feel?" And I went, it was my first finals game the week after. I'm like, "I'm sweet." My head was throbbing. I'm not missing the finals game.
No.
Especially on my own accord. Like, if they pull me out, I probably want them to pull me out, but I'm not going to pull out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because sometimes you can be your worst own enemy.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about 10, 20 years time.
That's the story of your life,
though,
isn't it?
Too. Yeah, exactly right. I'm all in at the moment. Like, I've got 1 week, I've got a game next week. I'm going to play. My head was throbbing. I remember in the warm-up, I was even going to Damien Cook. I go, "Bro, I'm dizzy." But now they've got heaps of things in place now.
Tell me 3 of the most influential players you've played with, and why.
Sammy Burgess.
Yeah.
He showed me the standard, or at least I saw the standard he trains at, so I just learned the importance of training standards and off the field, like more in the sense like kindness towards everyone. Like, the guy's open, everyone and anyone, he'll stop and talk to anyone.
Yeah,
like, just to picture who he was, I was like, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
He was a really good role model for me. Another player, Jai Arrow.
Yeah.
Mainly off the field. He's an animal on the field. We just became really close, especially last year. We were living together. Just going through a fair bit. He was always there. He's a guy that, like...
You never forget that.
Nah, he's a guy that he'll do anything for his mates. He'll always have your back, and you can always trust. Like, one of those conversations you can just have.
Yeah.
Third player. I don't know. It's probably almost out. Like Tommy B.
Yeah.
The Burgess family.
Yeah, they're good people, huh?
Yeah. They just brought me into their family.
Yeah.
And they just showed me love and acceptance, and they did a lot for me.
I was really upset recently, especially with someone like Ben Fordham having a go at Latrell for not signing some kid's autograph. Wasn't that ridiculous?
I just thought that was a bullshit story anyway.
Yeah.
Just throwing mud and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
Having a whinge. Like, I know Latrell, what did he say? He said he would have signed just 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll sign it after the game.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Latrell, I've watched South's games, and I watched him just go around and take photos with everyone.
He does so much with the kids, youth.
Yeah.
He does so much. And I'm sure he's watching his kids play footy. He goes, can I watch my kid play? I'll sign it after. Like,
yeah.
It's just, leave the guy alone for a bit.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, like, the guy does so much.
Yeah. I jumped straight on and said, I've done a post about it, and I said, come on, give the bloke a break. Like, he's allowed to say, hang on, just wait.
Yeah.
Just, can you wait? You know what I mean?
That's right, yeah.
What about the rats that put that's that rat mentality in society?
The tall poppy.
Yeah, the tall poppy. They're trying to pull someone down. I'm a big fan. Is everyone deserves their mental health protected, and especially him. He cops it so badly. He's under so much scrutiny, and it's fucking wrong. And when someone goes out of the game, we recently had Alex Johnson taking his life.
Cole Turner.
Cole
Turner.
Cole Turner, yeah.
Yeah.
We recently had that.
Exactly right. It's really sad. It's something that needs to be addressed. I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
But
he's like that. You see those country kids come out. I know he's out from out west. Yeah, Canamble, yeah. I was talking to a girl about him, and she said she knew him. She said he was just such a beautiful guy.
Nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Quiet. real humble, hardworking, kind. Like, he was a legend.
Yeah.
Unsuspecting guy. And then, finishes up.
That's crazy. And that's another thing that I think if one thing that NRL could do better is look after the mental health of footballers.
Yeah, especially after.
Yeah.
Or just a pathway to keep them involved, or like, just, I think South do it pretty well with the old boys.
Yeah.
South have an old boys group.
Yeah.
And they do certain functions throughout the year where anyone that's played can come in, and that's all paid for. They go on the piss, whatever it is. They can meet up and then have that connection.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the connection you miss the most. Like, the best thing about going to training and football, like, obviously the winning and the lifestyle, whatever it is, but you go to training and you hang out with your mates, and it's that connection I think I've heard about that you just can't replace. And it's not like a normal, it's not a workplace. Like, you're genuinely connected, like some of your best mates at training. And it's something that I missed. I took for granted. I didn't take for granted. When I left South, some of my best mates, I went to the Dogs. I didn't know anyone. Like, it was just a new environment. I was just talking to a couple of boys on the phone. Like, I miss coming to training and seeing my best mates. That's just a different thing. And when you leave football together, I guess it'll just be such a weird feeling.
It's like you would have encountered that being the new boy in school.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Always, yeah. That was the hard part about moving around.
Tell me, who's the funniest guy you met? Because in every team there's a prankster.
I had a couple, you remember Charlie Gubb?
No, I can't say I do.
Charlie Gubb, he was a good little player. He played for Warriors. I was living at Canberra. He was one of the funniest guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
In and outside of football, he was off his head.
I love that.
Just an absolute character. Adam Reynolds cracks me up.
Yeah.
He was such a good guy to have around.
Yeah. And that creates a bond that when you've got that sort of... I'll tell you something now. In jail, the Vietnamese gangs, they've always got a comedian. Vietnamese are such funny fucking people. They're such funny... There's always a little comedian in their little gang. And that's why they're so fucking tight, because they've got real good structure. And part of that structure, you've got someone that can make you laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really important. And it creates that joy in the group.
100%. Reno was good for that.
Yeah.
He'd come in and everyone would be off, and he would never stop.
Yeah.
Just a little punish.
Yeah. It's normally a little fucking halfback, cheeky little bastard.
Little Reno.
Yeah.
Little rat.
And that was a big... I don't understand what South... I'll ask the question. What was South thinking when they let him go to the Broncos?
I don't know, because he's still playing pretty good
He's
footy.
playing pretty good. He's just got him into a grand final.
I think, I don't know what they were thinking. I think they were looking at some long-term deals that didn't end up going too well, like GI and Sammy. And I don't know. Reno had his fair share of injuries on and off, but he never missed games. He did miss train every now and again.
Local
but
bloke.
he didn't miss games. He never missed much footy. He never played trials, but that was a Reno thing. We just said he's always injured in January somehow.
Yeah.
Always.
Why not?
He hasn't played trials in 8
Bali.
years.
That's the Bali effect.
But yeah, like, you look at how successful he helped the Broncos become.
Yeah.
And they probably made a mistake there.
So a common trait of your life, or more so your career, is people have identified you. The people in the highest level have identified your talent, which equates to you must be a very talented footballer.
You must be a good bloke or something.
You must be a good bloke. That boyish good looks. Hey, where to from here, mate?
Mate, I got a year left at the Dogs. Life's pretty different for me now. I don't drink or anything, so I'm just...
The best, eh?
Mate, it's mad. It's mad.
Hey, tell me this. Have you ever woke up and said, oh, fuck, I wish I had a hangover?
No.
Neither have I.
Never. So that was so now I feel like my days compound into, like, healthy days. I've got about 6 weeks of off-season left.
Yeah.
I'm going to just train, be healthy, do mad shit, do what I want to do. Going away. I'm not stressed about that. I'm doing things I like doing. Go back to pre-season healthy.
Yeah.
I haven't had a pre-season in a long time.
Yeah.
I've been injured, surgeries. So I'm just excited to have a healthy time and have a pre-season and then train hard, rip in, and then, get to know the boys a bit better at the club and have a big year, 2024.
Yeah.
That's what's next for me. Help the club as much as I can and build some relationships.
Is it going to be... Would England be a possibility after your career?
Yeah, I'd be keen for sure. Yeah, it was definitely a thing I wanted to do.
Yeah. He's just thrive over there, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd just be cool. It'd be cool for the aspects of, like,
travel, go to France on weekends.
Yeah. It's a bit of I've heard it's a bit less. Media in Australia gets a bit, they carry on a bit. So you go over there, it's just a completely different pressure gauge. What
is that pressure been like, though? But what's that? I remember Brad Fittler fucking got drunk once and the cab driver left him out front of Glebe Police Station, made the front page of the paper.
See, it'd be different for everyone. Like, I know those guys, like someone like Latrell, the big dogs, their lives would be hard, man, like really hard.
Mm.
And I know everyone's like, oh, suck it up, they're getting paid X, Y, Z, but it's no one can understand the pressure they go through on the field because they got to perform every week, and then off the field they're getting hassled all the time. The trolls in the media for he stubs his toe, apparently he's offended someone, so he's got to justify it, whatever it is. So like those guys, they'd go through a lot. They'd do a lot, and like Manser, all those guys. It'd be a hard life, man. Like you always watched constantly. Like I'm not a high profile player. I'm living a different life. I said to the troll one time, I don't know how you do it. It's high paid, but like it's high stress always.
Yeah.
High expectation.
Man, I hate the bullshit that happens to him. I don't think just I would. There'd be a lot of people in society who'd just say, "Fucking give the bloke a break."
Let the man play footy.
Let
He's got
him,
a family. Like he's a family man.
nice farm. He's got a nice farm.
Yeah, he's got a couple, I think.
Yeah, that farm. He's had half a fucking Kempsey. Yeah, but I love, and he deserves it.
Exactly right. Like you put your body through what you put your body through, and he deserves every cent of it, everything he's got.
One of my best mates, Beery, Maxi Beer, he's like
Max
everyone.
Beer, I know that name.
Beery Graham, he's from the Northern Beaches.
Yeah, I know Max. I heard the name. Max.
Yeah, good bloke, and he's really good. And he's that guy too. He's the ear, and him and Latrell are really good mates.
Yeah.
And he organised one thing, and they needed and there was a South supporter who had died, and he contacted Latrell and he said, "Could you say something?" And Latrell done a 3-minute speech at that bloke's funeral, and he didn't even know him.
Really?
Yeah, and that's the level that bloke is as a human being.
That's the stuff that never gets out.
Yeah, never.
That'll never get out.
That should be on set. That should be on.
Front page news. Front page news. That's
be.
the stuff that I have a problem with all over football. Like, there's so many guys doing so many good things, but obviously that doesn't sell. The guys on NRL 360 there, negativity sells. And
it's good to see poor Kent get thrown under the bus.
Wasn't it? Where's he?
Yeah,
I haven't heard a thing about it, mate.
The boxing expert now. Yeah, anyway.
Hashtag where's Kenty?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I love it.
Mate,
I love it.
What a
fight, you know what I mean? Karma.
Yeah.
On that note, Liam Knight, thanks for being on the Stick Up, brother. Been a pleasure having you, man. I love your story. I love what you're about. You're a dead set champion. And, mate, wish you a big year with the Bulldogs next year.
Thanks for having me, mate. Thanks for
Thank you.
spreading the messages.